In the Boston suburbs this November, the maple leaves painted a vibrant tableau across the front yard of the Wilson family's White House in Newton's quiet residential area. The indoor lights were already casting a warm glow. With Thanksgiving approaching, the entire neighborhood was wrapped in a peaceful calm. "Jenny, we need to have an important talk." When Mother called out to my sister Ashley, who was relaxing in the living room, I instinctively felt something was off. Ashley seemed unusually nervous, unconsciously fiddling with her Cartier bracelet that normally sparkled brilliantly. Even her hair, usually perfectly styled, appeared somewhat disheveled. "What is it?" "Well, about Michael and the wedding." Ashley spoke while looking down, forcing out the words. My sister, dressed in luxury brands, showed none of her usual arrogance. "We don't have enough money." The moment I heard those words, my heart seemed to skip a beat. The $200,000 I had been saving since my teens. The precious funds I had gradually set aside from college part-time jobs and scholarships. As an accountant and due to my meticulous nature, I had entrusted my wedding fund to my parents. There were tax benefits, but more than anything, I trusted this family. Our parents silently watched over us. Father Robert maintained his usual dignified expression while spreading out a newspaper on the sofa. However, I noticed his hands trembling slightly. Mother Patricia, a well-known figure in Boston's social circles, wore an elegant twin set paired with a pearl necklace today. Beneath her perfect makeup, she couldn't completely hide her tense expression. "Jenny, please. Could you lend it to me temporarily?" Ashley's voice was trembling. She was supposed to be working as a sales associate at Saks Fifth Avenue, but lately, she hardly seemed to go to work. Still, she carried the latest Gucci bag and wore Prada dresses. Her show-off nature hadn't changed since childhood. With a deep sigh, I reached for the pearl necklace around my neck. It was the only reward from my parents when I received my college scholarship. Though modest compared to my sister's lavish birthday parties and extravagant graduation celebrations, it was my pride. This necklace was proof of my own efforts. "All right." When I spoke those words, my sister's face lit up brightly. Our parents also showed expressions of relief. However, deep in my chest, a small anxiety stirred. I felt something precious slipping away, constricting my heart. Michael, supposedly successful as an investment advisor. Always in perfectly pressed Brooks Brothers suits with a Patek Philippe watch. Indeed, he seemed like an ideal marriage partner. During dinner at the upscale, legal seafoods, our parents were impressed by his sophistication and credentials. But that night, back in my luxury condominium in Back Bay, I gazed out at the Charles River flow while lost in thought. My work at Parker and Associates accounting firm was going well, with high evaluations as a senior accountant. I was being entrusted with new projects, and my career was steadily advancing. Yet why was such anxiety swirling inside me? The family photo displayed on the living room shelf. My sister and parents smiling in the center. And me, appearing small at the edge. That composition had never changed. On the 43rd floor of Parker and Associates, The accounting firm's lunch break was busier than usual with year-end approaching. My colleague Sarah came to my desk carrying a stack of documents. "Jennifer, could you check these contracts?" "Yes, of course." I tried to regain my concentration. The unsettling feeling from last night's family meeting still lingered in the corner of my mind. Sarah sat down beside me, smartphone in hand. Having just started break time, the office echoed with other colleagues' casual conversation. Everyone was enjoying a brief respite while racing against year-end deadlines. Sarah was casually scrolling through her Instagram account. That's when it happened. Oh my! How lovely! I've never seen such a beautiful wedding. At Sarah's exclamation, I looked up. In that moment, my world stopped. The screen displayed photos taken at the Four Seasons Boston's Garden Room. That dream venue at the luxury hotel facing Boylston Street. The pure white Vera Wang wedding dress, it was identical to the design I had dreamed of for years. A garden reception for 300 guests, decorated in white and gold. The custom wedding cake illuminated by candlelight was the exact design I had clipped and saved. In the background, an orchestra played live music. The table flowers matched my preferred colors and arrangement. Even the menu card design was identical to what I had secretly sketched in my notebook. It was a perfect wedding, as if someone had peered into my mind and brought it to life. And the bride was Ashley? My voice trembled. My sister's post showed dozens of photos with beaming smiles. Grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins. All relatives had gathered, and our parents wore proud expressions. The date was just 2 weeks ago. The weekend I was away on a business trip to Chicago. It was the most perfect day. A dream-come-true wedding at the Four Seasons. Reading the caption, my hands froze. The comments section was filled with congratulatory messages from relatives. My vision blurred. My breathing became shallow, and my heart started racing. The sight of colleagues through the conference room glass grew distant and hazy. I stood up and rushed into a private meeting room. With trembling hands, I dialed my mother's mobile number. The brand new phone case. Was that bought with my wedding fund too? The dial tone felt eternal. Hello? Mother's voice carried its usual grace. The perfectly controlled tone befitting her status as a social scene luminary. What is the meaning of this? My voice was so cold, I barely recognized it myself. An icy anger spread to my very core. Oh, did you find out? Mother's voice held a hint of amusement. As if discussing someone else's misfortune with such lightness. Well, you're never going to get married anyway, so we put it to use. Father's laughter in the background. Such a leisurely tone, as if enjoying lunch at the golf club. 20 years of my trust crumbled with that laughter, making an audible sound as it fell. Outside the window, the Charles River flowed unchanged today. The computer on my desk still displayed the unconfirmed contracts. However, something had fundamentally changed within me. The trust in family I had built over many years shattered in an instant. Tears streamed down my cheeks. But they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of anger, and more than anything, regret for my past life. Blind trust in my parents and sister. The family bonds I had protected even at the sacrifice of my own dreams. In the moment everything was taken away, paradoxically, I felt I had found myself again. "Jennifer?" Sarah called out with concern. Clear distress showed in her eyes. "Are you okay? Did something happen?" I took a deep breath. Touching my pearl necklace, I answered quietly. "Yes, I'm fine. In fact, I feel clearer now." By then, resolution had already sprouted in my heart. I intuitively understood this would be the beginning of a new life. The pearl necklace held a faint warmth against my neck. This time, I would truly live for myself. That night, in my Back Bay luxury condominium, I was placing the spare key to my parents' house in an envelope. From the 19th floor window facing Marlborough Street, the autumn colors of the Boston Public Gardens spread out before me. The weather forecast had announced the first snow. The snow heralding Boston's winter usually made my heart dance, but tonight was different. In the living room, mementos of my life with my family were arranged like symbols of my past life. The family photo from college graduation. The pearl necklace given by my parents. All were evidence of a past plastered over with false affection. My mobile phone wouldn't stop ringing. The screen was filled with missed calls from my parents. Especially in these 2 hours, calls were coming in every 5 minutes. Mother's voice was left on voicemail repeatedly. The tone of the voices gradually changed. First commanding, then pleading, finally breaking down in tears. But they no longer reached my heart. I silently deleted all the calls. Next, I completed the online procedure to change my phone number. Social media blocking settings were also complete. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It took less than 30 minutes to sever bonds built over 20 years. I had already started preparing to move. The new property was a high-rise apartment near Charles River Park. The rent would be higher than my current place, but it was worth it. The first step toward starting everything anew. That's when an email arrived. From Aunt Mary, Mother's sister. "The police have started moving. About Michael." I found myself frozen, staring at the screen. "He's known as a marriage swindler. He has 3 previous convictions, targeting employees of luxury stores and using the same method to extract money from wealthy families. He repeated the same pattern in New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles." My hands trembled. Scrolling through the screen revealed more shocking information. The total damages apparently exceed $1 million. Besides your $200,000 wedding fund, there's $250,000 from your parents' retirement account. Plus an additional $300,000 in wedding debt. The Four Seasons alone was $150,000. There seemed to be at least 5 other victims. All following a similar pattern, targeting women working in luxury stores and their families. I collapsed into my chair. Even father's retirement fund. The shock of losing my wedding fund was enough, but behind that, an even larger fraud had been progressing. What were my parents thinking? The next morning, on my way to the office, Sarah called. On the Green Line subway, I listened to her excited voice. "Jennifer, did you see the newspaper? It's become a huge deal." The Boston Globe's social section prominently featured Michael Collins's arrest article. The headline read, "Major Marriage Fraud Case Targeting Upper Class." A marriage swindler posing as an investment advisor. His method of targeting luxury brand store employees and swindling large sums from their families. Victim testimonies were being revealed one after another. The suspect approached daughters of wealthy families, promised marriage, then swindled wedding funds and family savings. Many victims were women in their late 20s to early 30s working in luxury stores. Reading the article, I was regaining my composure. Perhaps my professional consciousness as an accountant was at work. In the swaying train, I began organizing the extent of damages. According to new information from Mary, my parents' house had already received foreclosure warnings. The retirement fund was gone, and wedding debts remained unpaid. Their social credit had plummeted. Rumors about the Wilson family were spreading through Newton's upscale residential area. "Isn't she Robert and Pat's daughter? From that marriage fraud. I heard they even used her sister's wedding fund." The result of vanity and pride. According to Mary, my parents had begun avoiding relatives and were completely isolated. This year, they hadn't invited anyone for Thanksgiving dinner. 2 days after the glamorous wedding, Michael disappeared. Ashley returned to our parents' home, confined herself to her room, developed depression, and began attending a rehabilitation facility. She also started treatment for social media addiction. Her Instagram account, which had been so frequently updated, was suddenly deleted. Letters from home arrived almost daily. But my mind was made up. Words of apology in the envelopes piled up, never to be opened. They were all stacked at the bottom of a cardboard box, unopened. Only Mary and Sarah knew my new mobile number. At the office, I carried on with work as usual. Rather, I felt I could make clearer judgments than before. A perspective unbound by emotions. Perhaps that was ironically a gift brought by cutting ties with family. "Jennifer, this is excellent," my boss Claire said while reviewing my proposal. Her trusting gaze was filled with genuine warmth. The contract for the new residence was settled smoothly. A property with a good view near Charles River Park. Though the rent was higher, it was worth it. A solid step toward a new life. On moving day, while organizing cardboard boxes, my eyes fell on the stack of unopened letters. Words of apology from my parents and sister. Messages of pleading. Without opening any of them, I threw them in the trash. From the living room window of my new home, I could see the Charles River flowing. Winter sunlight sparkled on the water's surface, announcing the arrival of a new season. I took a deep breath. This was a true fresh start. The beginning of my own life, unbound by blood ties. I won't look back anymore. I quietly but firmly etched those words in my heart. 1 year later, spring sunlight streamed through the office window facing Charles River Park. On my desk sat the sign for a new accounting firm. Wilson Financial Consulting. 6 months after leaving Parker and Associates to become independent, my client base was steadily growing, and I had already hired 3 staff members. "Jennifer, it's lunchtime," Sarah called out. She was both my best friend and co-manager of the new office. Without her support this past year, I wouldn't have made it this far. "Yes, let's go." At a bistro on Newberry Street, we were enjoying a light lunch. From the terrace seats, we could see trees budding, announcing spring's arrival. "Oh, by the way, did you hear?" Sarah began hesitantly. "Michael Collins received a 10-year prison sentence." I nodded quietly. Following the trial in Florida, he was also found guilty in Massachusetts. The final total of damages reached $2.5 million. "How are your parents?" Sarah's voice was filled with consideration. According to Aunt Mary's latest report, my parents had given up their Newton mansion and were living in a small apartment in Cape Cod. With Father's retirement fund gone, they lived only on pension. Mother, once the flower of social circles, had started working part-time as a supermarket cashier. Ashley continued treatment at the rehabilitation facility. Though her social media addiction and depression symptoms were gradually improving, complete recovery would still take time. "She wants to see you." Recently, Aunt Mary had conveyed that message. "She's truly remorseful." But my resolve was firm. I had no intention of letting past shadows creep into my new life. "You seem to be doing well," Sarah said while studying my expression. "Both work and private life." "Yes." Last month, I had started a new relationship. David, a neurosurgeon I met through Aunt Mary's introduction. Time with him was filled with genuine trust. I'm going to Cape Cod with David next weekend. "Oh, how wonderful." A weekend at a seaside villa. That was a luxury I couldn't have imagined before. A life chosen by my own will, unbound by parents. On the way back to the office, my eyes caught a jewelry store window. A new Tiffany necklace. Though it looked like pearls, it was actually an intricate design combining diamond pieces. "It suits you perfectly." I smiled at the clerk's words. I had already disposed of my old pearl necklace. A new sparkle was fitting for the new me. Back at my office desk, an email had arrived from a new client. An audit request from a major investment fund. My reputation as a trusted professional was steadily growing. Outside the window, the surface of the Charles River sparkled in the spring sunlight. Since that day a year ago, I had never looked back. It wasn't mere stubbornness. By facing forward, I had discovered new scenery. Aunt Mary had said, "You've truly become an adult in the real sense." Yes, this was the path I had chosen. Blood ties aren't the only bonds. Relationships bound by trust and understanding. Now, I know the joy of building those. In my desk drawer remained the last letter from my parents, still unopened. There was no need to open it anymore. My story was adding new pages. The setting sun gently reflected off the Wilson Financial Consulting sign, casting a warm light as if blessing my new life.